I was born with a full chest. My lady was afraid her husband wouldn't be able to control himself, so she offered me to General Shao, who had been severely wounded on the battlefield. As she sent me off, she guiltily tried to brainwash me. Although Xiao Mian is impotent, at least you won't have to suffer the pain of childbirth. Don't worry. Sometimes when a man is useless in one area, he's especially talented in others. Later, I begged for mercy night after night. I really wanted to ask her, why is General Xiao talented in every way?
1.
The young General Xiao Mian, known for his bravery and skill in battle, was gravely injured on the front lines and carried back drenched in blood, barely hanging on to life. He was the only son of the Xiao family. Madame Xiao had been widowed young. Now faced with the prospect of burying her only child, someone suggested she arrange a ghost marriage for her son. My lady, Lin Ruozhao, eagerly volunteered to act as matchmaker and recommended me to Madame Xiao. Since my indenture contract was in my lady's hands, I had no way to refuse. She said if I didn't agree to the marriage, she'd give me to an old eunuch who had just retired from court. I knew she still held a grudge because of what had once happened between me and her husband, so I knelt and swore to the heavens that I had no improper intentions toward him. My lady angrily jabbed her finger at my forehead. Swearing is useless. Look at your chest. Don't you know how tempting you are? I wrapped my arms around my chest, tears silently streaming down. Walking around every day with 2 giant steamed buns in front of men. Who wouldn't want to taste? It's not that I don't trust you. I just don't trust men. Then she softened her expression, bent down, and gently wiped away my tears. The Xiao family is such a prestigious household. If my mother weren't an old friend of Madame Xiao, who knows who would have snatched up this marriage? I choked back tears and said bitterly, Miss, I don't want to be part of a ghost marriage. At worst, I'll stay in the kitchen. Absolutely no. Before I could finish, smack, smack, 2 slaps landed on my face. My cheeks burned with pain. Yuzan, are you trying to be ungrateful? If I hadn't vouched for you, with your wanton appearance, Madame Xiao wouldn't even consider you. You're not even worthy of a ghost marriage with General Xiao. I opened my mouth to tell her I'd already bound my chest as tightly as possible and always dressed conservatively, so much that I broke out in heat rashes during summer. I wanted to beg her to show mercy. But just then, the stewardess came running in, panting. Miss. Someone from the general's estate says General Xiao has woken up.
2.
My lady dragged me to the general's manor. Behind a screen, we could barely make out a man's frail figure. From time to time, a light cough could be heard. Madame Xiao was weeping tears of joy as she grasped my lady's hand. Ruozhao, thank you for everything you've done for Amian. Now that he's pulled through, there's no need for a ghost marriage. You've worked so hard these past days. My lady's dark eyes sparkled with an idea. Aunt Gui, the marriage should still go forward. WY. Maybe Izan has a strong fate. The moment the engagement was decided, General Xiao woke up. If they go through with the wedding to bring him joy, his body will surely recover fully, and his future will be bright. Madame Xiao hesitated, glanced at me, and was about to speak. Just then, a court physician stepped out from behind the screen. He looked conflicted. Madam, the general. There are no outsiders here, imperial physician. Speak freely. Although the general has regained consciousness, he was shot in the inner thigh with an arrow. I'm afraid he may no longer be able to what? My lady was more anxious than Madame Xiao. Be able to perform in bed. The words struck like a bolt of lightning. Madame Xiao's legs gave out, and I quickly caught her before she fell. Her bloodshot eyes filled with sorrow as she looked at me. Child, are you willing to marry such a man? Don't worry, I won't mistreat you. You can treat it like you're marrying into the family as my daughter. My lady quickly replied, She's willing. She's willing. This will raise her status from a servant to a respectable woman. Why wouldn't she be willing? For a moment, I didn't know what to say. I used to be a respectable woman myself. 3. My father was a court physician. I was born to his concubine and lost my mother at an early age. Fortunately, my father was kind and doted on me. But after he passed away, my stepmother took over the household. In order to seize the inheritance, she tried to sell all the daughters born of concubines to human traffickers. The night before they arrived, I went to plead with the poor scholar I had once brought food to every day. I heard he had passed the imperial exams, but he still turned me away. He stood inside the door, not even willing to open it a crack. Miss Yi, I'm now engaged to the Grand Preceptor's legitimate daughter. Men and women should not be too close. It's not proper for me to open the door. Here's a pouch of silver. Consider it repayment for the meals you once gave me. Please leave. Over the low courtyard wall, a money pouch was thrown out. It pricked my heart like a needle. The pain was dull, but deep. Later, I got into a scuffle with my stepmother in the middle of the street. She threatened that if I resisted again, she'd sell me to a brothel. Thankfully, the Grand Preceptor's wife happened to pass by. She bought my indenture and brought me into her household as a maid. Soon after, that same scholar became my lady's husband. I pretended not to know him and dutifully served my lady. But in the end, she still found out. There was no point resisting anymore. I lifted my skirt and respectfully knelt before Madame Xiao. Madam, I am willing to marry General Xiao, to bring him good fortune, and to serve you until your last days.
4.
Madame Xiao was true to her word. She prepared a respectable dowry for me. The young lady deliberately chose a day when her husband was away on business to marry me off. She stuffed the deed of sale into my hand, looking rather guilty as she said, "Although Xiao Mian is impotent, at least you're spared the pain of childbirth. Don't worry, men who can't perform in that area might excel in other ways." Truth be told, I hadn't been thinking about any of that. I simply saw it as being handed off to a new master. When the bridal sedan arrived, the matchmaker carried me into the general's estate on her back. General Xiao wasn't in good shape, so I bowed before his ceremonial sword instead of him. On the wedding night, most brides sit on the wedding bed waiting for their husbands to lift the red veil. But I opened the door to find my husband already half lying on the bed, dressed in red robes. "General," I called softly, afraid that too loud a voice might overwhelm him. He turned his head. His face was strikingly handsome, but drained of all color. "I never intended to take a wife. If you don't mind, we can address each other as brother and sister," he said, pointing to the chaise by the side. "Tonight is just to ease mother's worries. Please make do over there for now. You can move to the guest room tomorrow." All right. He had arranged everything with meticulous thought, very different from what I'd imagined. Before the wedding, an older maid had secretly pulled me aside and said, "Actually, intimacy between husband and wife doesn't always have to involve that. Other ways work too, you just won't get pregnant. Learn a little. It might come in handy." "What?" She furtively shoved a small booklet into my hands. I opened it and felt my face flush, heart racing. "Are you feeling warm?" Xiao Mian's clear, bright eyes stared directly at me. I panicked. Perhaps the wedding robes are too heavy. A bit stuffy. "Then freshen up and rest early. I'm going to sleep." He tugged the blanket beside him and lay down. He must have been exhausted. I soon heard his soft, even breathing. I walked to the dressing table, removed the phoenix crown, and slowly took off the heavy wedding robes piece by piece until only sheer inner garments remained. In the bronze mirror, I saw myself, full bosom, slender waist, red lips, soft arms, and eyes shimmering with moisture. The young lady often said a woman who looked like this was wanton and indecent, and insisted I cover up tightly. Suddenly, I turned to head into the washroom behind the screen, and locked eyes with a gaze full of hunger. Xiao Mian's face was redder than mine just moments ago. His chest rose sharply, Adam's apple bobbing. I hastily grabbed the outer robe that had fallen to the floor to cover my chest and stammered, "Gee, General, weren't you asleep?" After a long pause, his voice was tight with restraint. "I can sleep later."
5.
My heart fluttered. I stood there dazed. He got up, his tall frame casting a shadow over me. My heart thudded wildly. My mind was filled with the images from that little booklet, and my breathing suddenly hitched. After a moment, Xiao Mian turned and walked to the door. A cool breeze swept in as he opened it, snapping me out of my thoughts. He had vanished into the night. I wondered to myself. The way he looked at me just now, his eyes were full of shock. Was he scared by my figure? Before bed, I resolved to wrap my chest even tighter the next morning. Half asleep, I heard Xiao Mian return. His hair was dripping, he must have gone to bathe. The next morning, he was already gone when I woke. The maid Shizhu came in to help me dress, and from outside, I heard a man sneezing again and again. Granny spoke up in concern. "General, why didn't you call me to heat water if you wanted a bath last night? It may be summer, but the nights are still chilly. Look at you, taking a cold bath like that, no wonder you caught a chill. I'll go make you some ginger tea." I looked up and asked Shizhu, "Does the general like cold baths?" "I don't know, my lady." I dismissed her and locked the door. Then I wrapped my chest again and again. These days, frailty was the ideal for women. But my figure was full and curvy. It was no surprise the general didn't like it. 6. I went to pay respects to Madame Xiao. Xiao Mian was already seated beside her. She smiled at me with warmth and kindness, but the moment he coughed, her face changed. "Ah, Mian, I want to have a private word with you, Zan. Go get some rest." He got up and left. Madame Xiao waved me over and had me sit by her side. She held my hand, her eyes brimming with tears. "Good child. Ah Mian is lucky to have married you. With the way he is now, marrying him is a grievance for you." Her smile faded, and her voice turned bitter. "The imperial physician said his vitality is damaged. No one knows how long he is left. Someone in the clan once suggested I arrange for him to adopt a child, just to carry on the family line. But wouldn't that ruin your whole life? You agreeing to marry and just to lift his spirits, I'm already so grateful. I can't ask you to throw away your future too. I've thought it through. If that day really comes for Ah Mian, I'll have him write you a letter of divorce. I'll also give you land and property, enough to ensure your security for the rest of your life." I wiped her tears away, my heart aching. "Mother, thank you for thinking so far ahead for me. I had come here thinking I'd just be a servant. I never imagined she'd planned so far for my sake." Naturally, my thoughts drifted to the mother I had never met. If she had been alive, if I had grown up under her protection, maybe my life wouldn't have turned out the way it did. Madame Xiao smiled through her tears. "Look at me, an old woman making you cry. Yuzan, there's no need to be so polite with me. Just follow Amian and call me mother like he does." "Mother." "My girl, I have one more favor to ask. I heard from Ruzhao that you know how to make medicinal meals. From now on, I'll have to trouble you with managing Amian's daily diet and care. It's my little selfish wish. I just want him to live a little longer." Her voice began to choke again near the end. I nodded. "Thank you, Yuzan." 7. I went to the kitchen to prepare the ingredients. The last time I made medicinal cuisine was a few years ago. Back then, Xiaohuan wasn't yet Lin Ruozhao's husband. His parents had passed away, and he lived alone in a rundown courtyard behind my house. To save money for his studies, he often only ate one meal a day. One day, he fainted at my back door, and I was the one who brought him back to consciousness. Pitying his hard life, I scoured my father's medical books and made medicinal dishes for him every day to help improve his digestion. Only the two of us knew about this. I suppose he must have told Lin Ruozhao. He really went to great lengths to get me kicked out. I carried the steaming hot food into the bedroom. Xiao Mian was instructing the servants to pack up his belongings. "General, what are you doing? Didn't we agree I'd move into the guest room?" His handsome face showed no emotion as he said in a low voice, "I don't have many things. I should be the one moving." "Then wait until after you've eaten." I placed the dishes on the table. He glanced at them indifferently and sat down. "From now on, just let the servants handle this kind of thing. I can do it too." "It's not the same," he said coldly. "Let Shezhu bring it next time." After speaking, he downed the soup in a few sips, gave a few instructions to the servants, and brushed past me like a gust of wind. In that moment, I realized something for certain. General Xiao probably didn't want to see me at all.
8.
Following his instructions, I had Shizhu deliver the medicinal meals to his study every day. When I went to greet Madame Xiao in the mornings, she praised me endlessly. Even the imperial physician checking Amion's pulse says it's more stable. He looks much better. Yuzan, it's all thanks to you. Pleased, she gave me a gold bracelet. Back in my room, I placed it in my jewelry box. Inside were all kinds of jewelry Madame Xiao had given me since I entered the household. Shizhu said, Madam, you don't usually wear these. Isn't it a shame to just keep them stored away? How could it be a shame? I can sell them for silver one day. They'll be my emergency funds. These were all gifts from Madame Xiao. Are you really going to sell them? Not for now. But if I get divorced in the future, I'll have to sell them for silver. Shizhu looked puzzled. As she turned around, she softly said, General. I turned and met Xiao Mion's dark, ink-like eyes. Madame Xiao must be getting old and blind. Xiao Mion looked even paler than before. His sharp gaze was fixed coldly on me. I felt flustered under his stare, but didn't dare let it show. General, is there something you need? There's something I left in this room. I came to look for it. I'll help you. What is it? At some point, Shizhu had quietly slipped away. A notebook, he said. Do you remember where you left it?
No.
I rummaged through boxes and drawers while making light conversation. After a while, I found a notebook tucked deep in the top shelf of the bookcase. Just as I reached for it on tiptoes, another hand covered mine. The spot where he touched me grew hot. It was the first time I'd seen Xiao Mion's face this close. He really was good-looking, fair skin, sharp brows, starry eyes, as deep and unfathomable as a mountain pool. My throat tightened. I turned to grab the notebook, but I lost balance on my toes and fell straight into his arms. In that instant, my chest pressed against his. I scrambled to get up, flustered. His chest heaved rapidly, and his face flushed bright red. General, here's your notebook. I won't see you out. He took it without saying a word and left. It's over. He must think even less of me now.
9.
After that day, I avoided meeting Xiao Mion as much as possible. I didn't want to upset him. He was still recovering and needed peace of mind. But now I had another headache. Xie Heshuan kept sending me notes, asking to meet. I didn't even read them, just stored them in a small wooden box. Today, Shizhu shoved a note into my hand and whispered, Madam, this time it's not just a note. He came himself. He's at the side gate and said he won't leave unless he sees you. I clenched my fists and stormed out, vaguely aware of someone following me in the courtyard. But I didn't pay attention. I opened the door, and there was Xie Heshuan. Yuzan, you finally agreed to see me. Son-in-law of the Lin family, you should address me as Madame Xiao. He paused, then lowered his voice. Madame Xiao. Do you know that meeting me like this in secret, time and again, could ruin my reputation? I know. I just wanted to tell you. I'm about to be promoted. I won't need to rely on my father-in-law anymore. Yuzan, I'll buy a house and you can come with me. That'd be better than staying with that sickly man. He got so worked up that he even tried to reach out and hug me. I stepped back and sneered. So, you want me to be your mistress? Xie Heshuan nodded earnestly. I let out a laugh. Why would I give up my rightful position as a general's wife to become your mistress? Everyone in the capital knows Xiao Mion has one foot in the grave. He won't live long. Besides, he's not even a real man.
His eyes dropped to my chest.
Isn't that a waste of you? A wave of nausea surged in my chest. Xie Heshuan, I know what you're thinking. Yes, I once helped you. But when I needed you the most, you turned your back on me. Now you want to ruin the rest of my life just to ease your guilt.
He grew more desperate.
Give me some time. I'll convince Ruozhao to let you in as a concubine. I won't be anyone's concubine. I won't be anyone's mistress either. Don't come looking for me again. My husband is a general with outstanding military achievements. If he finds out, do you think you'll still have a future? Hit him where it hurt. His career meant everything to him. As soon as I said it, his face turned ghostly pale. You'd rather choose a cripple than choose me?
10.
I glared at him. My husband defends our country. Those scars are his honor. You, as a beneficiary, have no right to speak ill of him behind his back. In my heart, he is a dignified and upright man. Unlike you, physically whole but with a very dirty heart. After saying that, I slammed the door shut with a bang. Turning around, General Shao stood less than half a foot away, dressed in a long blue robe, tall and poised. "Gee, General," I called him nervously. There was a faint sharpness in his eyes. "Just now you called him husband so many times. Why are you so distant now?" "General, please don't misunderstand. As long as I stay in the General's residence, I will adhere to the duties of a wife and never have a second thought. It's late. I must prepare the medicinal meal for you tonight." Lowering my head, I spoke as I walked away, wanting to leave quickly. But his large hand grabbed my arm. I lost my balance. I fell into his embrace, meeting Zhao's deep, mysterious gaze. With just a slight lean, our lips could have touched. His warm breath brushed my face, my heart raced uncontrollably, and my cheeks burned hot. Zhao swallowed hard and spoke slowly, each word deliberate. "What do you mean by stay in the General's residence for a day? Are you counting days until you leave?" I couldn't say. "I'll leave when you die." So I flatly denied it. "And no, I didn't mean that, General. You're squeezing my arm too hard." "Were the things you said just now all true?" I blinked and asked, "Which one?" He sighed lightly and released my arm. Feeling like a kid caught doing something wrong, I quickly escaped. That was the first time I saw color on Zhao's face. His face was flushed too. That night, I had a strange dream. In the dream, Zhao's lips brushed my cheek. His hand hooked my robe, whispering seductively, "Madam, do you want it or not?" I nodded as if enchanted. The kiss was fierce and intense, crushing my lips. Amid tender murmurs, I awoke in panic. My heart thumped wildly. Xiaozhu knocked and came in. I asked her to bring a basin of cold water. She stared at my sweat-damp hair, murmuring, "The weather really is getting hotter." I splashed cold water on my face and suddenly recalled the wedding night when Xiao went to take a cold bath. Could it be that he? Impossible. He was injured and should keep a pure and restrained mind. 11. At noon, Zhao's mother's personal maid came in with a message. "Madam, the old madam says there will be dinner in the garden tonight. Please make sure to attend." These days, to avoid Xiao, I had used excuses not to eat in the main hall. Since Zhao's mother specially reminded me, I couldn't refuse. Walking into the garden, a pomegranate tree bloomed vibrantly. A breeze blew, setting the fiery blossoms aflame, and a few deep red petals drifted onto the stone table in the pavilion. The table was laden with dishes I loved. Zhao's mother invited me to sit. "Amion said today is your birthday." These dishes were specially prepared by the kitchen on his orders. I looked up and met a pair of burning eyes, my face blushing. Xiao calmly placed a chestnut cake before me. I asked him, "General, how do you know today is my birthday?" I had even forgotten it myself. My birth mother died in childbirth. No one ever celebrated my birthday. He lowered his gaze, not meeting my eyes, and said softly, "Our marriage contract has your birth date." My heart fluttered inexplicably. "Yuzan, this jar of peach blossom wine is my treasure. I'm opening it today to celebrate you. Both of you mustn't drink too much." After she finished speaking, she stood and said the summer night was windy, so she wouldn't stay to drink. As Zhao's mother left, the air seemed to freeze. Feeling awkward, I quietly drank glass after glass. The peach blossom wine was sweet and heavy. After a while, I felt a bit dizzy. Reaching for an empty dish, I tilted my head and asked Xiao, "Where's the last chestnut cake?" His lips moved slightly and he whispered, "I ate it." I don't know where I got the courage, but I leaned toward his face unhappy. "Who told you to eat it? Spit it out." Xiao immediately opened his mouth. "Then come find it yourself."
12.
I bent down and looked into his mouth. Xiao smiled. "You won't find it that way." I looked up, staring at him without blinking. Then how should I find it? His cheeks tinged faint red as he seriously said, "Try using your mouth." My gaze shifted to his slightly reddened lips. Swallowing hard, I kissed him without hesitation. Xiao suddenly stiffened, breathing quickened. Then he took control. He cupped the back of my head, deepening and intensifying the kiss. Only when footsteps came from behind the flower bed did we finally separate. "General, it's chilly at night. Old Madam asked me to bring you a cloak." I don't know how much she had seen. I suddenly stood, then felt dizzy and fainted. When I woke with a splitting headache, it was already early morning. I remembered I promised Zhao's mother I'd accompany her to Xian Temple to burn incense. Hurriedly, I dressed myself. "Madam, don't rush." I saw the coachman still harnessing the carriage. "Xia Zhu, was it you who helped me back last night?" "No." General carried Madam back. I turned to her to confirm. She nodded seriously. "Did I say anything ridiculous?"
Yes.
"The general laid you on the bed, and you grabbed a sleeve, not letting him leave, calling him husband until his face turned bright red." "Xia Zhu, don't talk nonsense." She covered her mouth, laughing as she left. I went to the front door to meet Zhao's mother. 13. Xian Temple is on Lion Mountain outside the capital. I sat in the carriage, distracted, still thinking about how I had forced a kiss on Xiao Mian yesterday. Zhao's mother might have misunderstood me. She said, "Yuzan, do you have a man you fancy? These past few days, I noticed you avoiding a Mian. Don't blame me for trying to matchmake you two for dinner yesterday. I thought even if you can't become husband and wife, maybe you can be friends. If you feel uncomfortable or want to leave, just say so. I will let him grant you a divorce, no delay." "Mother, no. I was thinking about something else." "What is it?" Just as I was about to speak, the carriage suddenly jolted violently. Harsh neighing. The horses bolted, racing wildly toward the nearby woods. I leaned out and saw the driver had been thrown off. The horses were running madly through the mountains. Our bodies shook up and down, left and right with the carriage. The pain was unbearable. Zhao's mother cried out in fear. "Yuzan, Yuzan, what do we do?" I tried to steady myself and leaned out the window. Terrible. Ahead was a cliff. "Mother, don't be afraid. Hold onto me tightly. I'll protect you. We'll jump from the carriage together." "Jumping will hurt us." "Mother, if we don't jump, we'll fall off the cliff and die." I shielded her as the horses' hooves lost the ground beneath. We jumped from the carriage and rolled down the cliff. Luckily, one hand grabbed a tree branch growing from the cliff face, the other pulling Zhao's mother. Below her was a bottomless abyss. 14. "Mother, don't look down. Hold tight to me. Xia Zhu and the others' carriage is right behind us. They'll come back soon to rescue us." The branch creaked. Zhao's mother sobbed. "Yuzan, let go. We're too heavy. The branch will break. I'm old and won't live long. You must live well." A surge of sorrow flooded my heart. How could I let go? She was already like my own mother. "Mother, I'd rather die with you than watch you die. Hold on tight. They'll come soon." Honestly, I wasn't sure either. My body felt like it was splitting in two, the pain numbing and suffocating. In despair, I heard a voice, Xiao Mian's voice. "Shun Yuzan, don't move. I'm coming down to save you." He called my name for the first time. Suddenly, a strong arm grabbed me. He tied a hemp rope around my waist, then went down to tie one around Zhao's mother. People above pulled with all their might. We were saved. It wasn't a hallucination. Xiao Mian had saved me. He held me, frowning. "Why so much blood?" Zhao's mother said, "Yuzan protected me," when she jumped from the carriage. "I'm unharmed, but she's injured." She covered her face and cried. My eyelids felt like 1,000 pounds pressing down. "Shun Yuzan, don't sleep. I'll take you to the doctor." He lifted me into the carriage. I curled in his arms. Sweat beaded on his forehead. He whipped the horses and spoke to me. "Shun Yuzan, don't sleep. I'll buy you chestnut cake. I'll give you lots and lots of gold and jewels for protection, okay?" You don't have to wait until I die. I'll write a divorce letter for you right away. You can leave anytime. My heart contracted repeatedly. Some droplets hit my face. I struggled to open my eyes and saw a clear blue sky, no rain. The next moment, darkness enveloped me. 15. I opened my eyes. My whole body felt as if it was falling apart. Madam, the imperial doctor ordered you not to move. Pain reminded me I was alive. Xia Zhu brought a bowl of medicine and fed me spoonful by spoonful. Madam, luckily you didn't break any bones, but you have many bruises. To avoid scars, you must rest well. Your hand is dislocated too. She kept talking, but my gaze drifted to the door. After taking the medicine, I asked, "Where is the general?" He went to investigate the horses running wild. Was it sabotage? Yes, poison was found in their feed. An excitant drug. Who was bold enough to attack the general's household? I lay in bed for a month. In that time, I never saw Xiaomian. Zhao's mother, frightened, stayed shut in her room. Everyone in the mansion was grim, as if something terrible had happened. I asked Xia Zhu. She said no. Today I finally got out of bed and opened the door, meeting a cold figure. Xiaomian wore a deep navy robe, making his sharp features even more striking. He handed me a wooden box. Curious, I opened it and found land deeds, property contracts, and a divorce letter. My body stiffened, as if invisible chains bound me, unable to move. General, are you sending me away? His gaze was icy cold. I know you've waited a long time for this. You avoid me and keep your distance because you don't want any ties with me. When my time comes, will you be able to leave the mansion smoothly? I'm just doing you a favor in advance. Xunyuzan, leave now. You and the general's household are finished. A wave of bitterness flooded my chest. I opened and closed my mouth for a long time before forcing out. So this is how I'm seen in the general's heart. He turned his back, not looking back. Leave at once. I don't want to see you again. His figure vanished in the courtyard. I was practically driven out by the mansion servants. When I was about to leave, Xia Zhu came with me to the carriage. The general said, "Madam, no, Mrs. used to having me around, so I'm going with you." I felt a lump in my throat and moved into a small courtyard. The next day, an imperial edict was posted. A year ago, Xiaomian was defeated because he betrayed the country by secretly giving the enemy the military deployment plans of the general's camp. The emperor sentenced him to death and imprisoned him in the royal dungeon. The entire general's mansion was sealed, and everyone inside awaited their fate.
16.
Xiaomian is a man of integrity. There's no way he would betray the country. Is he so eager to drive me away just because of this? Xia Zhu was frantic. She grew up in the general's mansion and naturally didn't want anything to happen to them. "Miss, is there any way?" I calmed down and thought carefully. When my father was alive, he once saved a patient suffering from tuberculosis, a government official in the Ministry of Justice. That official had come to thank my father at our home, and I had overheard their conversation. He even complimented me. I remembered his surname was Li. After some inquiry, I stopped Minister Li's official carriage on my way back from court. "Minister Li, do you remember me? I'm Shunsher's daughter." He stroked his beard and smiled. "You've grown so much." "To be honest, Minister, I come with a request. My husband is currently imprisoned in the Ministry of Justice's dungeon. Please allow me to see him." Li frowned. "Who is your husband?" "Xiaomian." His expression darkened. I pleaded further, and he finally agreed. The jailer who led me to the dungeon warned repeatedly, "General Xiao is a serious criminal. You can stay no more than half an hour." The door unlocked, and Xiaomian stood up, a flicker of surprise on his face. "What are you doing here?" My heart ached, and through the haze, I looked at him. "General, is this why you drove me away? You've been wronged, haven't you? Think carefully. Do you have any evidence to prove your innocence? I'll help you investigate and find proof. I will get you out." Xiaomian's gaze deepened. Suddenly, he reached out with long arms and pulled me into his embrace. "You, San." My heart pounded wildly. But time was tight. This wasn't the moment for love talk. I braced myself with my hands, but didn't push him away. Xiao Mian held me tighter, his voice soft, brushing my ear like a feather. Yuzan, you don't need to do anything outside. There are ears nearby I can't trust. I promise, 7 days from now, I'll watch the sunrise with you, okay? 17. Xiao Mian's eyes were firm, not like he was just coaxing me. I nodded and walked out of the Ministry of Justice's dungeon, just as Xie, who was here on official business, intercepted me. He blocked my path with a teasing smile. Yuzan, it's not too late to regret. Be my concubine, better than being alone and scorned. I raised my hand and slapped him. Bastard. He tried to grab me, but I dodged quickly. If you keep pestering me, I'll send those notes you wrote to me recently to the Grand Tutor's mansion and see if they'll forgive you. You've often whispered in the lady's ear, right? You thought if she kicked me out, I'd have nowhere else to go and would submit to you. But you never expected she'd marry me off to General Xiao, a man you can't mess with. His face flushed pale and dark in turns. I took the chance to run far away. The more distance from this scoundrel, the better. Though Xiao Mian repeatedly promised he wouldn't go back on his word, I still tossed and turned for 5 or 6 days. On the afternoon of the 6th day, Xia Zhu and I saw the imperial decree posted at the government office. It turned out that the real traitors selling out to the barbarians were the second prince and the chancellor's faction. The second prince coveted the crown prince's position. Xiao Mian was the crown prince's right-hand man. They planted spies in Xiao Mian's army to steal the defense plans and also tried to kill him. So Xiao Mian had been pretending to be ill all this time? Why would he claim to be unable to perform? I thought about all this and couldn't sleep all night. As dawn broke, there was a knock at the door. Ignoring everything, I rushed to open it and threw myself into Xiao Mian's arms. 18. Xiao Mian seemed stunned and stiff, not returning my embrace. I followed his gaze downward. Oh no! In my haste, I had come out without binding my chest. I turned to leave, but he pulled me back again. Where are you running? I thought you didn't like. I buried my face in shame, pointing at my unusually full chest. Who said that? His voice carried a hint of a smile. I looked up at him. Xiao Mian bent down, his face close, lips just inches from mine. Yuzan, I like everything about you. Our eyes locked, the heat between us seemingly able to melt everything. Suddenly, he scooped me up and headed toward the bedroom. I punched his chest. Didn't you say we'd watch the sunrise together? First, I want to look at you. We collapsed onto the bed. Xiao Mian untied the thin straps at my chest, and I covered his eyes. Don't look, it's ugly. He pulled my hand away, his breathing quickened, voice soft and gentle. No, it's beautiful. His eyes shone brightly. My heart fluttered wildly as my hand rested on his firm chest. What did the doctor say about you? He leaned down to kiss my earlobe. Madam, you'll know if I can or not when we try. In an instant, everything around me seemed to move. Through the blurry haze, I looked at it all. Then his handsome face blocked my view, and he whispered in my ear, Yuzan, I once had a dream. What dream? In a low, hoarse voice, he recounted that ridiculous dream, just like mine. I was speechless, my thoughts in chaos, completely stirred like boiling water. Before closing my eyes, I cursed the quack doctor who examined Xiao Mian. He was truly speaking without conscience. Xiao Mian really is strong. 19. After the general's residence was cleared, Xiao Mian took me to the palace to see the crown prince. The crown prince carefully examined me for a moment, then teased, So, this is the real person at last. Yuzan, your charm is extraordinary. You've managed to melt this icy mountain that is Xiao Mian. The crown prince overpraises me. Your husband helped the court eliminate treacheries, so you should be commended as well. I'll petition my father to grant you an official title. Thank you, Your Highness. Madam Xiao, don't blame your husband. Our plan always included him feigning illness. Many wanted to harm Xiao Mian, and only by claiming his days were numbered could we reduce the danger. As for saying he was impotent, That was my instruction to the imperial physician. I grew up with him, and he has never been with any woman. He is pure and self-disciplined, so I thought this treatment would keep him that way. The crown prince's face showed a hint of a worldly smile. I suddenly understood. It was a prank between friends. The last time we fell from our horses, it was the second prince and his faction. Yes, the crown prince said quietly. They intended to make it an accident, but didn't expect Madame Xiao to be caught in the crossfire. Don't be afraid, madam. This time we've struck at the root and completely eliminated those pests. Your husband is safe. I took a deep breath, still feeling some lingering fear. Court affairs are treacherous and unpredictable. When we returned from the palace and just stepped inside the door, we heard a woman crying. Xia Zhu said, "Madam, you should go see. Miss Lin has been crying nonstop since she arrived. It's giving the old madam a headache." I said to Xiao Mian, "You go to the study. I'll handle her." He nodded. I had heard a few days ago that Xie Heshuan was also part of the second prince's faction. Because the grand tutor was completely unaware, the emperor exempted him from punishment. Lin Ruzhao and Xie Heshuan have already divorced. I didn't know why she came to our residence crying.
20.
I sat beside her. She couldn't stop crying, her haggard face covered in tear stains, eyes red and swollen, completely lacking her usual fierceness. "If you keep crying, I'll have someone carry you out." Lin Ruzhao immediately stopped crying, but her body still trembled. I was wrong. I thought if I married a son-in-law of lower status, he would accommodate me in everything. But I didn't expect him to be so treacherous. I warned you long ago he wasn't a good man. I rolled my eyes. Now that we were equals, I didn't have to be so restrained. "You didn't warn me clearly enough." She turned to me, tears welling up again. "Back then, when I treated you like that, did you resent me?" "No, miss, you speak your mind honestly. You're not a bad person. I cursed you in my heart already, but I don't hold grudges."
What?
"You cursed me in your heart." I spread my hands. "Yes. Wanna punish me?" Lin Ruzhao gave me a sideways glance and burst out laughing. "Sorry, to force you to marry, even slapped you. Did it hurt?" "I forgot a long time ago." "Then slap me once and we'll be even." She closed her eyes, biting her lip. I lightly waved my hand and brushed her face. She opened her eyes wide in surprise. "Miss, I've already returned that slap to Xie Heshuan." "Then don't call me miss anymore."
Call me Ruzhao.
"Can we be friends from now on?" "No way, I don't like friends who cry a lot." Lin Ruzhao clung to me for quite a while until dusk before I finally escaped. As I prepared to return to my room, the candlelight in Xiao Mian's study was still burning. I quietly pushed the door open and stepped inside. Suddenly, someone sprang from behind and wrapped his arms around my waist. Bold rogue, daring to act so boldly in front of the general's wife. "I've long coveted madam. Tonight I shall finally have a taste." Xiao Mian was acting seriously, his lips pressed against mine. Ink, brushes, paper, and inkstone crashed to the floor from the desk. I started to panic, pushing against his chest with both hands. "Really here? Right here." My lips protested, but my body accepted. My hands unconsciously went to touch his abdominal muscles. He whispered into my ear, "Yuzan, you don't even know how many times I desired you here in this study." I wanted to scold him, but amid the swaying, I couldn't form a complete word.